Hello and welcome, or welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. I'm about to read the most recent poem, but I thought I would preface it with some thoughts. This is coming at the tail end of a 3-month project, including a lot of poems. It's going to be a fairly chunky sized book, I would guess. And every project that you do will have its own little quirks, its own challenges, its own problems, and sometimes there are advantages to it as well. So specifically in the realm of rhyming, early on, I was finding myself constantly having to come up with rhymes on the word ump, rhyming with Trump, of course, and all its variants. Early on, my poems were more Trump-centric, and I tried to shift away from that naturally. And then there were also rhymes on the word amp or camp because of concentration camp, that kind of thing. All of these folks being sent to camps, and though that was a difficulty, and it would keep cropping up. Certain words in poetry, it's just an automatic problem. If you come up with life, you know right off as a writer what your options are. You've got about 5 different options available to you. So once you end a line in the word life, you have just restricted yourself terribly. Another one, obviously, is selves, and it's real easy to end a word with selves or self, and then right there, boom. There's not a lot you can do with that, and inevitably you wind up having to do something with it. Well, this book, because of the nature of it, I have wound up more than with anything I've ever written. I have wound up using the word prison a lot more and ending a line on the word prison. And so you have limits there. In the past, probably the only words I ever used to rhyme with that was arisen, or perhaps his'n. But I would bet that in the past I used whizzin'. And so as this project has gone on, I've been trying, for the most part, to make my rhymes more exact. It's not something that I really worry about. But so I've rhymed prison so much, and you don't want to keep doing the same rhyme over and over. Just going through the manuscript, I find that I've used false and criminals about 16 times already. Well, it fits, I guess, a little bit much. But you don't want to keep using the same rhymes over and over again. And so when I found myself in the situation of needing to rhyme with prison, I didn't want to go the route of arisen. I thought about whizzin', but for me, really, it's to say whizzin' is natural, but to say whizzin', it's really not that contemporary. I don't think I would say that. So I decided in the case of this poem to go the opposite extreme, and for the first time in my life, I have rhymed prison with bedizen, Bedizen. You can look it up. It means to dress gaudily, something like that. I've never used that word in my life. But here, if you're going to do this, you ought to have fun with it. I know there are booktube gurus out there that will tell you, oh, you should not use this word in a poem. Somebody said you should not use the word multitudinous in a poem. If you're doing an activity, you ought to do what makes it fun for you. And just using the same basic set of words all the time, over and over, as though you were writing a newspaper article. That is a lot less fun, and poetry is unrestricted. You can go anywhere that you like. So, you are prepared for the word bedizen, and let me see if I can make it through the reading of this poem. Queer liberation is the litmus test of modern times, along with Palestine, averred June Jordan, poet Sibylline, here in a world in which we are all pressed. It is a moral question. Where stand you? May others be allowed to live, or must their lives be pummeled down into the dust, save they conform and to false dogma hew? She saw herself the history of rape, the history of rejection of herself, of armies plundering their way to pelf against her mind without means to escape, the history of battery and assault, the terrorized incarceration of herself and who it might be she might love, the sanctity of each desire at fault. We must be free, and from these fraud-based strictures imposed upon us from without, free to live and be whom we desire to be, not patterning oneself on painted pictures. Let all the world be free, and that includes free Palestine and those in Sikot prison, each to his own devices to bedizen according to internal pulchritudes. So, this whole poem, of course, was inspired because I came across a mention of June Jordan and what she had said about the litmus test, and I thought that deserved a place in my book. Now, I have several books of villanelles, and one of them, and I could not direct you to the right book, but one of them takes a June Jordan poem and uses that as a basis for a villanelle. I think it's the scene in a bar or a bar setting. So that is my effort with bedizen. I think it's a fine word. Now, does that spoil the whole book? It may do, I don't know. But it is not likely I will be using bedizen very frequently, but maybe I will get into it now. Maybe the next several rhymes with prison will be bedizen. I'm actually hoping to pull down the curtain on this as soon as I can. So I will leave off. Thank you for stopping by.